All right, it's 10:38 here on the East Coast. Welcome to Twitchline, your home for relationship advice here on Twitch and YouTube. I am your host, Hoda Hori. Joining me as always is the co-host and my best friend. It's Acorn. How you doing, buddy?
Doing well, man. Just enjoying this cold late fall evening. Had a bubble tea and ready to talk about people's emotional health in their relationships.
Bubble tea. I actually just like the sugar and the tea extant on the bubbles. I think they're just unnecessary. I just like the sugary drink.
I get it, and I know that I've been over bubbled at times, but I don't know. There's something fun about drinking a sugary sweet tea and having something to chew on at the same time.
Mm. Yeah, I've never been like a multi-texture sort of guy. Like I like my peanut butter smooth and my Jello fruitless. So, you know, that's just me. I'm very basic.
That's interesting.
Enough about me. Welcome to Twitchline, everybody. As always, you can send us questions, articles, things you want us to talk about here on Twitchline. You can just contact us at twitchlinelove@gmail.com. You can also tweet us at Twitchline. We pay attention to our Twitter. And if you want to post any comments or concerns, you can go ahead and do that on there also. We stream live to Twitch and YouTube. So if you want to search for us on YouTube, just type in Twitchline Love at in the YouTube search bar. You should be able to find our channel. Hit the subscribe button. That really will help us a lot. And you'll have access to all of our older shows where we go over a lot of topics. You can actually search on through those topics and see if there's any older shows that you want to watch, or maybe some topics you wanted to research where we talk about all of that stuff. So you can go there on YouTube. That's our archive for shows. You can also listen to us on SoundCloud, home of podcasts and other audio shows. Just search for Twitchline on SoundCloud. You should be able to find our channel there. And you can listen to our most recent shows as we upload them there on to SoundCloud. But that is enough of our socials. Welcome to Twitchline, everybody, on this wonderful, cold Wednesday on the East Coast. Just a little sneak peek at what our topic is going to be, topic 3 there. But in the meantime, we did not have a Sunday feature. We might do that tomorrow. We might do Freeform Thursday. Sort of want to make sure that we keep up our schedule here. But you enjoyed a wonderful time in New York, Tim.
Yeah,
and,
that was pretty sweet. Yeah, we went up on Friday and had a very comfortable, easy ride up, which people know that can be a problem. The DC to New York route on 95 can be hellish if done the wrong way.
Very much so.
And it actually went really smoothly. Got in there, ran around the city a bunch, enjoyed a bunch of good food. And when I was saying we went on Friday, we went up on Sunday. What am I talking about? And one of the museums that we wanted to go to was closed, which was kind of a bummer, but easy. We stayed in one of these kind of Japanese style hotels. When I say Japanese style, I mean very small rooms, lots of automation. So robots putting your luggage into little cabins and stuff. It was weird, but fun. And then on Monday, we had the pleasure of dealing with the shutdown of the city because of Trump's visit. And
oh no,
that was annoying.
Right. He came up for Veterans Day, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm not going to go into it, but I just think that's pretty laughable. And there were protesters on both sides out there. It was something, but we found our way to the places we wanted to go, ate all the good foods, spent all the money, and now we're back home safe and sound. So, that's a win.
It is a win. Yeah.
Before we go too far down that rabbit hole, I thought that we'd just jump in here with our first topic.
Yeah, absolutely. So our first topic, just to lead in, unfortunately, has nothing to do with Trump, but it is one of those things in which I actually honestly believe in this philosophy. But it seems that our man, mini query, age min inquiry does not. So why don't you take this topic off to start us off tonight, Tim?
Okay, so we are in r/dating advice, and 1.6 thousand people decided that they wanted to upvote this. So it is something people are thinking about. And the topic is, in parentheses, or sorry, in quotation marks, stop looking for someone and it'll happen to you when you least expect it. He says, recently, all my friends have been stressing that I should stop actively trying to date. They swear up and down that as soon as I stop looking for someone, I'll find someone. On one end, I don't know how someone can expect to find a partner without at least putting some effort into looking. On the other hand, I get what they're saying because I've seen it for myself. What do y'all think about this sentiment? Edit number 1, when you least expect it. Yeah, okay. Edit number 2, wow, I didn't expect this to blow up. They always say that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, this is actually a very common post. I've seen this a lot. I haven't picked it up because none of them really spoke to me, but I've seen it enough that I guess it's something we got to talk about on here. And oftentimes when it is posted, it's not actually based on advice, but rather like questioning, does this actually work? You know, the whole idea of not actively seeking out dating and then someone will just appear in your life. Does that actually happen? Or more often, it turns into a rant / whining how this is so stupid. If I stop looking, it means I'm going to never meet anyone and die in my basement. Which leads to my own rant, which is, what is it with people who take internet advice absolutely literally and without any consideration of any context at all? You know, like the same thing happened a couple weeks back where someone just went off on the idea that people could give the advice that you have to love yourself first before you can love someone else. They were like, why do I have to love myself first? Why can't I, date and be, he just went to town and missed the whole point.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like you can't do anything unless you love yourself. And what does it even mean to love yourself? I don't know. It's going to be another subject. We don't need to go in that direction. I just mean, people, come on. You have randoms on the internet giving you a single sentence worth of advice and throwing out trite stuff like you have to love yourself first, which of course there's some truth to, and some, if you dig and think about it, you can find truth inside it. They're just people trying to help in whatever little way they can. You don't need to lose your shit over it. But back to our topic here tonight. It's interesting because I actually subscribe to this line of thinking, but with caveats. And I'll start off by saying that no, it will not happen as soon as you stop looking for someone. People are like, I've been trying so hard and it's not working, so if I just stop, then someone's just going to show up. And that's not how it works. It happens when it happens. And it could happen when you stop. It could happen 2 months, 5 months, 8 months, a year, 3 years, 5 years. Like, when it happens, it happens. So you could have worked your butt off and then the person just randomly pops in your life. And then what was all that work for? It didn't necessarily yield the result. So you have to recognize that there are things working that you have no control over, and you just got to do the best you can. That being said, you got to consider, when does it happen? When is that, when you least expect it, moment supposed to happen? And genuinely, I think that people have this expectation with dating that the harder you work, the better result you're going to get. And that's not the case. Before I go any further with that, Z, do you have any response to that?
Yeah, well, the thing about it is this threat. The whole saying is like, once you stop looking, then that's when it'll happen. It's basically shorthand for you're trying too hard. At least in my opinion. I know you sort of mentioned that, but it's one of those things in which, for people who are in the dating scene and have been in the dating scene for a long, long time and still haven't found that particular person, certain things have a tendency to set in. it must not be me, it's always them. Uh, a little bit of jadedness setting in with regards to all the people that you're dating, anger to a point, and almost to the point where you're almost trying too hard when you do find somebody that you do like and they turn you down, and that turns into depression and all sorts of other stuff. The whole concept of stop looking for someone and it'll happen when you least expect it is more about relaxing and being yourself and not having the eagerness that could ruin a potential relationship. And that is my opinion with regards to it. It's more of a you're change your attitude a little bit sort of deal. I mean, and I don't know if that means like for some people being a little bit less uptight or a little bit more relaxed because sort of you feel anxious when you're dating somebody, especially if you're dating somebody or if you are going on dates. And a lot of them are losers, but there are ones that you really do like, and it doesn't work out, and you just don't know why. Um, could be that it's just the anxiousness and the eagerness to try to get it to work just doesn't make you look attractive.
Yeah,
And yeah.
true enough, man.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a one of the main points that I wanted to make here was that in line with what you're saying, there is a distinct possibility that you, Mr. and Mrs. Dater, are the one that's getting in the way of you getting the love that you want or the whatever you want in dating,
Mm-hmm.
right? That your actions are actually interfering with the process. And so then I'm led to consider like what does actively looking for someone look like? And maybe it's not what you think it is, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you ask yourself this question: is your active pursuit of dating, of putting yourself out there, just you swiping during downtime at work? Like, is it this like basically zero effort, but the fact that you're doing it for a certain amount of time, making you and not getting results, making you feel frustrated, and so then you feel like, oh, I've been putting this energy into it, but really all you've been doing is just logging into your apps and swiping, or maybe sending a couple text messages. Is that the hard work you're talking about? Like I hear a lot of people complaining about the process
Mm-hmm.
when they really haven't invested as much as they describe that they have. The people that have gone out on a bunch of dates and had a bunch of failed dates, spent a bunch of money, really invested, I can definitely get that they're frustrated about the whole thing. But the people that are just sort of like, dabbling and then calling that actively searching for love, I don't really think that's what you think it is. And then the concept is half of these people, without any real engagement, without actually getting to the point where you're communicating with someone else, it's the same as like yelling into a cave. You're swiping on bots, you're swiping on dead profiles, you're swiping on people that are already out there connected to someone else and just haven't shut their profile down. Like, there's a lot of that going on. So you don't need to be crapping all over the process and saying that you're working so hard when really what you're doing is just working the wrong way very hard. And even though this isn't really high, there's not a lot of requirement for you, right? If you're just swiping and just have sort of a ongoing profile, it actually results in a high burnout rate
Mm-hmm.
because of the perceived rejections and because of the every day that goes on that you don't have that love or that whatever you're looking for is tacked on to your amount of time that you've been failing in your head, and that can be debilitating over time. Another thing I'd say, about these people that are considering that they are actively looking for someone, people who serial date, including those people that you should have never dated in the first place, that they're just going out there and running the numbers, getting on the Match or Method or whatever the other sites are, and taking every date they can to say, hey, if I do this and work the numbers and the probability, eventually I'm going to hit that person. So but that's another like burnout kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
You're just heaping on the frustration in that by doing this, it means you are forcing yourself to run through so many failures. And, it probably leads to major jaded thinking about the whole process. So, on that, I'd say something is not always better than nothing. Like, pick your dates with intention instead of just saying, hey, I'm going to date, and taking whoever comes first, because chances are you're going to run into a lot of people that didn't really match with you. The third thing I'd say is someone who's actively looking can sometimes come across as single and desperate to be otherwise. As in, those people that they're like so uncomfortable being single and so desperate to not be single that they are reaching out and trying to get anything. And nobody's out there looking to be anything. Nobody's out there like saying, I would love to solve your discomfort with your being single. That's not attractive in any way. So what I would ask people to do is ask themselves the question, does your single status affect the way you interact with possible romantic interests? We know people that had a tendency to latch on and pursue basically any single woman that walked through the door or was introduced to the group of friends, or like there's just people out there that they see possibility in everything, so they want to kind of give everything a chance, and they get enamored quickly. And that's all fine, but it can lead to friends being anxious about introducing you to any of their single friends, or being worried about your dogged pursuit of single women as sort of like messing with the feel of social situations. So that can be a problem in itself. So actively pursue, but again, do it with intention and don't overdo it. That's my major advice for people who are still considering doing that. And for those that want to step back and say, okay, I'm going to ease up on the dating, that doesn't mean put zero effort into making yourself a desirable person, right? Just because you were saying, I'm going to let things happen in a way that's maybe more natural, or in a way that is more passive than active, it doesn't mean you just like lock yourself, in the basement and play video games and expect the love of your life to come knocking on the door to your house, because that's not going to work either. So you can still improve your looks, you can still improve your life situation, you can improve your chances by putting yourself out there, but not necessarily for the sole purpose of dating. Yeah.
Yeah. My advice to somebody who wants to follow this method is to. So you've had, a good year of dating, haven't found anybody. You have been choosy, and have only taken dates that you felt like could go somewhere, but it just never happened. You want to feel like, hey, maybe I should let the world decide for me and do it. Put yourself in a situation where you're having fun. So turn it around. So normally you would want to go on a date on a Friday night or a Saturday night or something like that. Think of something that you could do on a Friday or Saturday night that would involve you still going out, for example, and putting yourself in a social situation where you're not actively trying to find someone, but you are in a situation where you can meet people without any intentions or whatsoever. You're just there to have fun. That's the type of situation that this commenter is, I think, what their friends are trying to say. It's like you don't become a shut-in, because if you stop looking and then become a shut-in and stay at home all the time, that's not helpful either. What you do is you go out there, you still have a good time, but you don't put any pressure on yourself to do anything specific. You just have fun. And people having fun are very attractive in the sense that people want to also have fun with them. And you could go to places where it's a very social environment. Maybe you go to a lounge and you just sort of hang out, listen to music, and go with your couple's friends and have some fun, and all of a sudden you meet somebody there who's also doing the same thing, or you do a social club or some sort of sports activity club or something like that where there are other people to meet with no intention of actually going there specifically to do it, because then that would reek of a little bit of desperation. But you go there to have fun and show your personality to people, and sometimes things happen and it could click.
So,
Yeah.
On that tip, I think a lot of people worry that if they don't have their single light on, that they're going to miss an opportunity. That if they aren't out there like pushing the flirting, pushing the hey, here I am, you can get me if you want me, that someone's going to be like overlook them or not consider them as an option. But as you said, if you're out there having fun, if you are attractive to another person who is single in any way, then that's enough for them to like pursue in the way to find out if you are single or not. Like this idea that like Amazing You is out there and that you haven't made it abundantly clear to everyone that you're single means you're just not going to get a shot. That it's falsehood, man. That people who see you having a good time and enjoying yourself and living your best life, you know, if they want to be part of that, they're going to try to find a way.
Yeah, they're gonna wanna have fun with you, and that's the fun part. That's the great part. That's also the no stress part on you, because you can be flirty and have no intention of actually going out with that person to quote practice your game. You know, you can also just show who you are. Maybe you're the type of person that is very sort of aggressive and very forceful on the field of play. Like let's say you're playing softball or something, and you're very excited. That type of reaction elicits another reaction from another person. Maybe maybe a person on the team likes that and approaches you with regards to it. Because they're seeing a side of you that they wouldn't normally see on a date, on a quote forced date, where you have to maybe behave differently from who you are, and it just comes off as fake. So that could be just one of those things that could be a detriment to you when you're going on these dates all the time, that it's sort of reinforcing behavior that isn't natural to you, and it therefore comes off a little off-putting. And therefore you put yourself in a situation that you're going to enjoy. You act like yourself, and a lot of the times when you're yourself, good things happen, because you're either you draw in more friends, or sometimes the opposite sex sees you as a person and is like, oh, he's a really nice guy, or she's a really nice girl, and I really like that. We have so much fun together. Maybe I can ask her out. And if it doesn't happen there, then, or I can ask him out. Doesn't happen there, it's okay. That's not what you were there for in the first place. It's good.
And also people, when they are single, doing the single thing, and happy doing the single thing, that can be attractive.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you have all that anxiety that comes with trying to do the dating thing, trying to create the flirtation and the sexual tension and stuff, when all that stuff is active in your mind, sometimes you aren't the real you, as you just described. Sometimes you are, you're too much caught up in the idea of things, and then you don't end up being your best person. And the people who, you hear this all the time, people are like, as soon as I got with, as soon as I end up in a relationship, suddenly all these girls are coming out of the woodwork and are attracted to me and want to be with me. And part of that is because you are cool around women again, right? Instead of just being the, weird ass that's trying to get with them. Mm-hmm. When you're cool, and people appreciate that. So be cool. Enhance your calm, John.
Enhance the
Spartan. So
I had
before
one
we move
more.
on to the next.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I had one more thing. We had a friend in common who was in a semi-long-term relationship that felt like he was very super confident because he was in a relationship, and he was in that situation where he would be meeting women all the time, and he felt like, oh my God, I'm missing out on all of these things because I have a girlfriend. Because look at me, I'm actually naturally attractive, and these women keep coming up to me, and I think I might be missing out. Dumps the girlfriend, and then goes on a dry streak that I think lasted 10 years. So, like, be careful what you wish for when it comes to certain things, because you know, the reason maybe that somebody is actually maybe playing up to you a little bit more, or maybe even attractive to you, is because you're just more natural in a calm situation where there's nothing on the line. And once you put something on the line and you're actually gambling it, maybe your personality becomes a little different, a little off-putting, and possibly a little desperate. And
Yeah, you got that taken man's confidence
that's
when
right.
you're with somebody, but then when you're out there on your own, zoinks.
So I'm sorry I interrupted you right before you were
Oh
about to
yeah,
end the
no,
segment.
I just thought before we go on to the next bit, if you think about yourself and your friends, how many of them got together with their life partner and or serious relationships because they were out there grinding them dates? You know, like because they were like, I'm out there, I'm looking for the dates, I'm going to do it. If you think about it, just like kind of go through inventory of your friends, how many of them got the girl because they were out there grinding it, and how many of them got with her because they, you know, ended up. It was just, things just happen.
I'm counting down my current friends right now in my head, and I don't know very many serial daters, though. We have a friend who ended his dry streak, which was good for him. He found somebody that is very lovely and very nice, but I don't consider him a serial dater, though. I mean,
But he didn't. If he is who I think you're thinking about,
uh huh,
he didn't meet her because of that grind.
true. So there's that. Then there was another one who broke up, wanted to just be single for a while, uh, dipped her toe in the dating pool, and ended up married in a year later. So some people are just lucky like that, you know. Um, but yeah, I don't know anybody. I know somebody who is currently on the serial dating grind, and no luck. And I'm not going to reveal if it's a him or her, but not that much luck at all, and has become a little bit jaded because of it. And it's probably
Happens.
because of the lack of the success.
Yep, it's very common. And so I guess the reason I asked the whole thing was because I just want to get it out there that if not just you, Z, but if people out there that are dealing with some of these frustrations, that are wondering if they need to do the active grind or maybe step back a little bit, do an inventory yourself, right? Think about your friends, you know, your friends, your family, their friends, their family, anyone you can think of. And through the course of your discovery of all these people's experiences, I'm going to assume and hope that I'm right in assuming most of them will say it was not because they actively went to go find this person.
Yeah, I think I would have to agree
So
with that sentiment.
we'll see. We'll put that out there. People can send in their experiences with that as an email or come on in our chat and spit it at us. Let us know. Prove us wrong if you want to. That's cool. We do that. But until then, I'm going to stay thinking I'm right, and I'm going to throw us over to Z to take us on to topic 2.
Yeah, topic two I think is one of those ones that people have their opinions on, but it's one of those things that's fairly obvious. But people still question it, I think. And the question is how important is physical attraction when it comes to relationships? Personally, I think it is important because it is one of the few things that will attract a male or a female to another person. But let us bring up the topic here so that we can read along with commenter Too Perfect. Too Perfect. Must be a cat person. But the question is how important is physical attraction in a relationship to you? Though it's nice to enjoy single moments, I have been approached by two men that are, to be quite honest, not my type. As superficial as it sounds, I came to the realization a couple of years ago that physical attraction is important in a relationship as having intimacy is what differentiates a relationship and friendship. Now, these two men have wonderful personalities and we get along very well. Time flies when we go on dates. Not trying to adjust my opinion to other Redditors, but I just wanted to see how physical attraction is important to others around this age group. She is posting and dating over 30. Thoughts? TLDR, which not necessary in something that short. If you can't read that much, you have a problem. How much
Nice.
weight? How much weight do you put on a physical attraction when dating someone? Okay, so the thing about it is there are probably multiple things that people say when they come across somebody and they find them attractive. A lot of that has to do with a physical aspect of the other person. Now, internet dating has boiled that down to superficial photos, things that you look on the internet, descriptions, body descriptions, things like that, where you basically start to analyze and give yourself a an idea of what you want to see. Oh, I don't want a girl who is over 130 pounds and 5'8" or something like that. I mean, it's ridiculous. That person could be very attractive and doesn't fall within the quote specific uh, numbers that you're actually dedicating to yourself, and you actually knock that person out. But that's sort of the world that you end up living in because of the way that internet dating has basically taken over the way that people meet each other. But just to get back to Too Perfect, it's not selfish. If you're not physically attracted to some of these people, you don't have to feel shame for it. You can have fun with them. That's great. Uh, but the thing about it is that lack of physical attraction comes to a head because what's going to happen is that these two men are eventually going to want a physical relationship. And if you find that off-putting, offensive, or just not in your wheelhouse, you're going to have to come and face the truth, and you have to tell them, it's like, look, I love hanging out with you guys. I love that time flies. We have so much fun. I'm just not attracted to you physically. And that's what they're going to have to live. And to a guy, that is one of those main, like, real sort of qualms. It's like, I really, really get along with this girl, but she doesn't want to do anything with me with regards to the physical aspect of the relationship. Well, it's possible she doesn't find you physically attractive in this particular case. Too Perfect found two guys who were great guys, apparently, but she just didn't find them physically attractive. So, it's just one of those things it's going to be one of those initial things that you go into a relationship and you're going to take a look at. Is it superficial? A little bit. But is it necessary? Is it okay? Yeah. Yeah, it is, because you want to love every aspect of a particular person that you're dating. And if you don't like something about a person, you actually have to end up telling them, and hopefully they understand, or if it's not something they can change, then you have to live with it. But physical attraction is one of those things that, if you're not attracted to somebody physically, and if they're not able to change the way they look or who they are, that is, that leads to all sorts of things that, isn't necessarily a good thing. That's how relationships end up with spouses and boyfriends, that people cheat because it's like, oh, I love him so much, I think he's such a great person, we've been in a relationship for 3 years, but I've got a girl on the side, or I've got a guy on the side. It's carnal aspects of a relationship are normal, and that's the thing. Now, I could go on about how physical attraction is important, but be careful what you wish for, because you put too much emphasis on one thing, and you are with a very, very attractive person, but they have the personality of a box of rocks. Can you live with that too? You got to find that balance between the two. And, people who are in the over 30 range, I don't know how much choice you have out there, Tim.
Well, you just insulted a lot of people, man.
I did, and but I'm being honest about it. That this is what you live with.
Yeah.
You either your ideal person is somebody who you find very physically attractive and has the personality that could charm you, uh, and you could be with them and talk to them until the sun came up. You know, so that's everybody's perfect person. Problem is that finding that particular person is very difficult, and sometimes you have to play that game of how much of one thing do I want versus how much of another do I have to give up, because it's a balancing act, and not everybody is perfect, but you can hopefully find a balance that you can live with.
Yeah. No, I don't mean. I don't think most of what you said was not insulting. Just the people over 30 with limited options. It's
Well,
like,
yeah, that's also true.
come on, man. I don't want to be old.
Hey.
But no, yeah, there is truth to it. I'm just saying people be like bristled by it. Um, so my take. Uh, I think the importance of physical attraction depends on the individual and can be influenced like by where you are in your life. So this is in the dating over 30 Reddit. So it has a physical attraction may be very different than when you're 20 and you're surrounded by people that are young and beautiful in college. And 30, you're looking for a life partner where the physical beauty might not be as important as stability. So got to consider that. And also what do you need from the other person? Like if you need someone who's going to be a rock for you emotionally, does it matter if they're a beautiful rock or a somewhat less beautiful rock or an ugly rock? It just depends what you need, right? The OP here seems to want to gauge how people in her age group value physical attractiveness, I guess perhaps as a way to set her standards to move forward. And that's valid. These are things people think about all the time, but maybe aren't asking. So, my initial question then would be, is it wrong to be superficial? And I would say no, as long as you realize that thing and are willing to accept what comes with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can be superficial and select based on that, but you have to accept what comes with it, right? So you, and if you're a person that actually desires something of more substance, and you're still only picking based on superficial aspects, you're going to end up screwed. You're going to end up really unhappy because you're only really working on the one thing that you want, or you're only working on one element of a whole person, and the rest of it will not meet your standards. And you also have to consider, are you okay with limiting the prospect of real happiness just so that you can have that one thing, right? So if the person treats you like crap, but they're really, really attractive, is that cool with you? Are you, just so you have that one thing that's really great? I think that a balanced person is probably a better deal for most. And then also, will it last, right? Beautiful now and beautiful in 10 years from now is different. And if the thing that you love is going to go away in time, then the relationship is going to suffer unless you adjust your scope of what you're looking for. People, they weigh and they assign value to the things that they're looking for in a relationship. And I think doing that is actually an enlightening process. It allows you to kind of get real with yourself. And if you're being honest with yourself, it can show you why you might have made some mistakes in the past and choosing certain people. And it gives you the opportunity to look in the mirror and both mentally and physically to see what you're bringing to the table. Because it's this whether or not this person is beautiful and what they have to offer is really only ever half the deal. The other half is you. Are you beautiful enough for them? Are you, do you have what it takes to get them to want to come and hook up with you? So that is something important to consider when you're thinking about how picky you want to be about the other person's physical characteristics. So Z, I would ask you, do you think you have a type?
I know what I like. Do I have So, and you could probably describe what I like. You've known me for ever, and you know the girls that I find attractive. Do I have a type? Probably. And it's one of those things in which, do those types of girls like me? Sometimes not. But I
But are
definitely
you okay to kind of step outside that, or do you do you ever consider
sure. Why
other
not?
types attractive, or would you give someone a
Absolutely.
chance if they were not normally what you go?
Absolutely. The thing about it is there is a particular type of girl that I would like. But it doesn't necessarily mean that if I meet someone that I really like and I also find attractive in a different way, that I wouldn't actually give it a shot. That would be stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay, so
yeah.
I got the next one for you. Have you have you ever met and become attracted to a person who was pretty different from your type?
Hmm.
That
That's a
almost like this surprised you.
you know, that's the thing. It's like oh, and this is one of those weird things. It's like you talk to people on Discord or chat, and like and when we were in college, it was AIM and IRC. When you get to meet people that way, you definitely take the physical attractiveness completely out of it. And I had met a person that was not necessarily the. I didn't actually know what she looked like for a long time, and I met her. And in my mind, I was very, very excited to meet this person, but she was in no way when I met her any type of the type of person that I would think I would ever want to date or anything like that. We ended up becoming good friends or anything like that. But in my mind, in the back of my mind, I was like, whoa, if she is in any way attractive to me, I mean, like I would go for it because we've talked forever. We like have a lot of things in common. She and he ended up being a really good friend for a long time, and it was just one of those things, and it was just like yeah, I gave it a thought. Yeah, of course you do, but it was just one of those things. It was completely out there, just definitely different, and you, having an open mind is super important. I think when you're dating, because I think if you get too locked in on a particular quote type, you do limit your options because there's only so many people that fall within that particular range. And we talked about this in a previous chat about setting ranges for yourself and knowing exactly what you want to do with regards to dating. But the caveat is that by doing so, you limit your options and you have to understand what you're trying to do. So having that balance of knowing what you like, yet being able to go out and experience something a little different and maybe find something that'll surprise you is a balance that everybody that dates has to experience. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's interesting. You say that. Like uh, when you like watch movies, dating, love movies, whatever, romantic comedies. One of the common themes is mousy introvert develops massive crush on super popular extrovert. Oftentimes, it's
She's all that.
the
It's
kid that gets bullied. It could
perfect
go either way,
example.
right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like in the '80s, it was little dork guys falling in
Can't
love with the prom queen, right?
can't buy me
So,
love. Yeah, there
right.
you go.
So
So we can name off
these
the movies.
things, yes. So these things, it's a common trope, right? But it's again people being attracted to a certain thing but not considering whether or not they would be attracted to that person, right? Like how did those people in these movies see themselves fitting into that person's world? And if I'm straight laced, you know engineering guy that sits behind his computer all day and uh, has a super just totally attracted to women that are covered in tattoos, super bad girls. Do you think that the girl that is looking for Mr. Straight Laced Engineering guy? It's possible. I'm sure it happens, but in general, I would assume that your worlds are pretty distantly apart. And so to expect and to hang on tightly to say I want that type. That's what I'm looking for. That's what gets me going. That's a tough road for you, man, because you know your pickings gonna be pretty slim considering who you are and what you're bringing. That's why I'm always telling people you got to look in the mirror mentally and physically and say what am I bringing? It's just something the other person will be looking for. Because otherwise, it's going to be tough. There'll be some disappointment.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And, it's one of those things in which dating out of your type is experimenting. It's also one of those things that can be very scary because you feel like you can be in control if you know what you like. But if it's something that is different, different scares people. Different leads to situations where you don't know how to react and you might have to put yourself out there and can be exhilarating to some people and very scary to others. So, you see movies like that, and then this is another movie reference where one of the people is very uptight, but the other person is very free and like is just willing to go out there and experience the world. They end up falling in love, and one of the other can't control the other person's like free spirit, but it's the thing that that person ends up falling in love with because they are complete opposites. But it's like he sees or she sees something that is completely different within that person's personality that they wish they had, and the other person, the reason they fell for the straight laced person is something like, hey, I wish I could have structure in my life, but I know I just couldn't do it myself, so I'll let you do it. So that's just it's one of those things. It's also a trope. It's another one of those things in romantic comedies that you see all the time. But when you try to experience it in real life, it can be very difficult.
Truth.
Yeah.
Shall we slide on over to number 3 here?
Yeah, let's I'm going to take my producing duties a little to task here. So just going to go here. And yeah, there we go. Back to the main screen we go. And our third topic of the day is it's a very serious topic. I think this is one of those things in which we don't do very many serious topics, but I think this one is something that unfortunately a lot of people go through, and it's one of those things in which I think serious conversations need to be had, especially when we talk about something like this. And the topic is, can I ask my boyfriend to cut back on the drinking? And people want to experience fun, and sometimes people feel like alcohol is a necessary thing. I can have fun without or with it. Doesn't really matter to me. But some people feel like that it is necessary when it comes to having fun. And I don't believe that at all. But Tim, you can take this away, and we'll go from there.
All right. This is in Relationship Advice Reddit, and the user is SDF WELFLWEF. I'm guessing it's a throwaway account. It's kind of like garble. She's a 21-year-old female. Her boyfriend's 22, and she's pretty unhappy. So let's see what she has to say.
Yep.
So my boyfriend has said disrespectful things to me on several occasions when he was drunk and drinking, and it almost caused us to break up because I don't enjoy being around someone who needs to get drunk to have fun and acts like a huge ass when doing so. No, he isn't abusive, and no, he doesn't drink all the time, but he is a dickbag who basically becomes a puppet to his alcohol when he drinks. Even mildly drunk, he seems like an ass who can't filter what he's saying out loud. He told me he would drink less when he goes out or goes somewhere with me, which that time is yet to come, but when it comes, I will be sure to see what happens. I even don't get drunk anymore that much. Maybe if it's a super special occasion like New Year's party or something, but not like insanely drunk. I haven't been drunk in months, and it's due to his behavior, which caused me to cut back. I decided that if I drink enough to get a buzz or a bit more, I just stop and I don't go further. I would even quit drinking altogether if I had to get him to be better. But I don't even think that's necessary. He can have a few drinks and be fine. It's just when he starts getting tipsy and drunk that I don't want to be around him. I already told him that he can do what he pleases and drink with his friends, but I will not be there. Everyone can wonder where I'm at, and he can tell them it's because he's a shitty drunk. Maybe that will make him get it. Oh, girl.
Uh, so
So,
we definitely know one of these. It's
I mean, I actually have. I'll get to my personal experience with all this stuff, but I think that we actually have two overlapping topics here. We
mhm.
have the whole like drugs and alcohol causing relationship issues thing, and then we also have the what am I allowed to demand or request of my boyfriend girlfriend as it relates to his behavior. Um, so this guy's shown that he's not the same person. He's actually pretty rude when he drinks. Can even be verbally abusive, and is a dick bag, as she says, which I love.
Yeah.
She's just laying it all out there.
Yeah, she is
Yeah.
laying it out there. And the thing about it is you can tell she's frustrated too by the language.
Oh yeah, yeah. You
Yeah.
definitely read it. And it's already it's a recognized problem by both sides, right? They both know that this is an issue, and he's made promises that it's going to change, and she has yet to see it. So, maybe it'll get better because she's made a point of it, but uh, you know, we'll see about that. Um, she's adjusting her behavior to account for his bad behavior, right? She's pulling back on drinking,
Hmm.
and even to the point where she's like not getting drunk anymore. But it's also pushing her away because she's talking about how like she's going to opt out of situations where he would be drinking, and that's not really a workable solution. It actually won't change his drinking behavior, and I think it'll end up biting her in the end because she's going to internalize this his decisions to like. So, for example, if there's a party, he wants to go get drunk and stupid, and she's going to internalize that as you would rather go get drunk and stupid than spend time with me. All right, you're choosing the alcohol over me, and that, my friend, is a nasty, slippery slope that will probably lead to resentment and issues. Uh, so my next thought on the whole thing is like his drinking behavior sounds kind of like binge drinking,
Hmm.
which is pretty common with people around their age, but at the same time, not anywhere near the norm and not how you have to enjoy alcohol regardless of what age you are. Uh, and while she is pretty pissed about the whole thing, it seems like she doesn't want to give him an ultimatum either. So I would ask you, Z,
Hmm.
do you think it's okay for her or someone to give an ultimatum as it relates to this stuff?
I am very anti ultimatum sometimes, certain situations. And the thing about it is that there are gray areas for everything. But basically, what it boils down to in this particular case is that this action is re- adversely affecting the relationship uh, in a negative way. And you can tell by the way that she has posted this in a rant about her boyfriend's drinking. You can tell that she is not in any way amused by it at all. And she has developed almost a semi hate for what alcohol is. Um, it's one of those things in which behavior like this, especially, could reinforce the fact that she just doesn't want to go on drinking ever because she just associates it with bad behavior. In this particular
Mm-hmm.
case, I would be okay with her giving an ultimatum to him because there isn't any sign that his behavior would normalize no matter what happened, no matter if he kept drinking. It just seems like it just keeps happening every time he gets one or two over the line and he keeps drinking. He just becomes a quote dickbag, and there is just nothing that'll change him with regards to it. So the ultimatum that I would end up giving him if I was her would be like, you can have one or two drinks anytime you're with me, but if you go over that, I will not be around you at any point. And that is the ultimatum. And you do you want to sacrifice me, or would you rather keep your drinking under control? and therefore your behavior, which you know is terrible when you are drunk, and I know is terrible when you're drunk, doesn't come out. Uh, And it's almost as if like he needs to also understand that, why do you need to even drink that much? Uh, do you feel like you need to? Does it feel like that it's freeing? Is it something that you feel like is restraining you, or is that your actual behavior? Are you a jackass and you've just been restraining yourself your entire time? There was another topic on somewhat related to this one that got close to 10,000 upvotes with regards to somebody not appreciating the fact that their boyfriend basically did the same thing and left them because of it, and that started a whole brouhaha in the comment section recently, and it was like, yeah. Uh, but in this particular case, this is something that is not with his personality. It is a substance that is affecting his personality. And if you take that substance away, he is completely fine. But when you add that substance in, he is not fine. And the only way to, I think, be able to live with it is to take it away. And I don't see any other way to do it. Yeah, you might disagree, but that's what I think you have to do in this particular case. Yeah,
I think that it's a dangerous game to give someone an ultimatum,
you're right.
because
It absolutely
you're
is.
giving them a
Yeah.
chance to choose something else besides you, and maybe that is an indication that the relationship is not as strong as it should be, right? And I don't see any case where someone should choose drugs or alcohol over someone else, right? I would even go as far as to say, if your enjoyment of drugs and alcohol negatively affects people around you who you care about and care about you, it's time to look in the mirror and reassess your things, your life, right? And if your partner isn't willing to sacrifice something as insignificant as like stopping drinking after 3 drinks for their own health and for the health of the relationship, just walk, because
Hmm.
that person's, they want to do that, and that they want to let their life be that. That's fine, but you don't need to associate yourself and attach yourself to someone like that who won't put you first. It's not even putting you first. It's like respecting you enough to keep from. I mean, the guy turns into a total ass
Yeah.
when he drinks, and it's just unnecessary. So she's not in the wrong. This is, some people might liken this to be like, okay, well, if you're giving them an ultimatum here, then what's to stop them from giving an ultimatum about how much time you play video games or watch sports or how much you spend when you go shopping? Like, these are things, these are different conversations, but it's not the same. It's not the same as, does my sixth or seventh drink mean more than your emotional well-being, right? That's different. So I, I'm with you, but I I think that everyone has to choose whether or not they want to go that route. Hopefully, you can have a conversation with them where you don't have to be as hard as that, putting down the line on the ground. But I mean, this is something my wife and I did at one point back when I was living in China. Uh, drinking culture is pretty strong over there, and so I was drinking a bunch and getting silly, getting wild, and at some point she just said, I don't like it when you get that drunk. And in the beginning I was like, whatever, but she said it a couple times, and I reflected on it, and I decided to just adjust my behavior. I just didn't drink as much, and to the point now that I don't drink often, and when I do, it's never to the point of getting drunk. And it's not that like I turn into a beast when I'm drunk, it's that it's something about me getting to a certain point in my drinking becomes bothersome to her, becomes something that she doesn't feel comfortable with,
Hmm.
and I respect her, and I would rather her be happy and feel comfortable than me get stupid and,
Yeah.
and sloppy.
Yeah.
So
And
that's it.
And it's actually consideration in the relationship, right? You are very considerate of her emotions and how she feels about a certain way. And I would expect uh, partners have to talk about it. You talk about stuff like that. There are certain things that you like and you don't like. In this particular case, they're very young. They're 21 and 22. I expect them being in college. And in college, there are just a lot of situations where, quote, binge drinking will happen. You're just out there doing your thing, hanging out with other young people, and just having fun doing stuff, and you're just not necessarily controlling how much you're actually drinking. So situation wise, I found as I got out of the quote college environment, uh, drinking actually slowed down. Did not actually drink as much. Now I'm just close to zero. I don't drink pretty much at all, except where in situations where I want to have a beer or a glass of wine or something like that when we watch sports. You know, we watched football last weekend, and I think both of us, relatively controlled, had two drinks over a span of 4 hours. It was like, okay, that's great.
Right,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
some people be like, "Oh, it's because you guys got old," and like
yeah.
there's something to it. Like I don't go, I just don't go as hard as I
No,
used to.
I don't either.
But
Yeah,
it's a conscious decision. Like you can get as sloppy as you want to in your own home or with your friends at a house party, or whatever. Like that doesn't matter how old you are. A bunch of my friends do it regularly, and that's their decision. But I also know that anyone who respects their person that they're with is going to consider their behavior and their actions and how it affects that person.
yeah,
And so if it's a problem, then you got two people in this relationship, you got to deal with that.
yeah.
If you're on your own, do whatever the hell you want to.
Yeah, and you know what? It seems like she's had that talk with him before, based on him understanding the situation and her bringing it up multiple times. This post is a little bit more ranty, um, with regards to it, but she has addressed the situation with him, and I think honestly it's in his court. Like he has to decide what he wants to do, and hopefully he comes to a conclusion that either is good for him, good for both of them, or good for her. And, you know, you
Yeah.
can't, you
Good
can't.
luck.
Yeah, good luck. That's really all we can say with regards to it. But surrounding the situation, if that was me, if I am SD Wellwef, I would be just as angry. Uh, I would probably, explain that I don't like it and maybe adjust my behavior accordingly if I find
Right.
my partner not willing to give up that thing that makes him into a complete quote dick
Right, dude.
bag.
Pro tip here, okay? If uh, your partner verbally abuses you as part of the way that they have fun, that's it.
Yeah, that's
Just
not.
be done with them.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah. So I
yeah,
think that's where we're at here.
yeah. Unfortunately, end up on a little bit of a downer there.
No, no,
But
it's
it's a
good.
very
This is
serious.
life learning. She'll
Yeah,
be fine.
that's a serious situation though, and I hate. Uh, I hate people who end up stuck in that because you're right. There are so many little things that we don't know in this particular relationship that we can only that's all conjecture, right? It's all we can speculate about with regards to what we think is going on and what we think it could be happening. But it's a serious situation that has to be dealt with, and hopefully we've just provided enough insight with regards to it. Uh, Top tip to anybody out there, uh, when it comes to drinking, the truth is you don't absolutely need it to have fun. Truth. It's my personal opinion, and I think a lot of people agree that it it's nice to have, but it's not necessary, not in any way. At least I believe that. So. But that is going to do it for us for topics tonight. Any final thoughts or anything, Tim, about anything that we've discussed today with regards to it? I mean, the thing about it is that the first topic, the stop looking and somebody will find you topic that was brought up by Age Mid Inquiry. Uh, it's a philosophy that I believe in, and hopefully it works out for him, her. And sex was never revealed about it, but it is, I think, one of those things that I believe that will actually end up in the long run better for people if you do it, as long as you're putting yourself, you're being yourself, and you actually put yourself in situations where you could end up meeting somebody. So.
Yeah, I don't know if I have any real overall. Basically, said what I feel about the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah.
People are. I think if there's something that sort of connects all these things together, it's going back to what I already said about how people need to look in the mirror and they need to consider what they're putting out in their relationship and what they're expecting, and make sure there's balance in that. Balance is always the key.
Yep.
So
Balance and reflection is basically what you're saying.
Yep.
Balance and self-reflection. That we're going to end our show on that note. So thank you very much for watching Twitchline this evening. We got to a little bit of a late start, but you know what? We're here every Wednesday around 10 o'clock here on Twitch and on YouTube. Drop us a line, put a note in chat or drop a little follow there. We'd really, really appreciate it. You can always contact us at our email address, twitchlinelove@gmail.com. You can also tweet us at Twitchline. Follow us on YouTube, Twitchline Relationship Help and Advice. That's the channel on YouTube. You can see all of our older shows there on YouTube. And also, if you want to take us on the go, you can subscribe to us on SoundCloud, Twitchline Relationship Advice. You can listen to us there on the go, on your mobile device, on your tablet, laptop, or anything that you want to take on the go. But that's going to do it for this evening. Thank you so much for joining us today here on Twitchline. We will see you again tomorrow for another topic, possibly Freeform Thursday, possibly a focus event. Haven't decided yet, but make sure you tune into our channel here at 10 o'clock tomorrow because we will be here. But for Acorn, I'm Hodo. Thanks so much for joining us. We will see you next time.
Good night.